While doing research on this video topic, I found there's a lot of people out there with a lot of different experiences with this type of thing, some of which I could relate to a lot and some of which I couldn't relate to at all. I think there are a lot of different elements to being like socially anxious or socially awkward, I think. I know that for me personally, it definitely ties in with my ADD, so like I feel that I can't form sentences that well because of my ADD. Like, words get really scrambled in my head, and a lot of the times I just feel like I can't really articulate I feel like I can't articulate myself properly, and I even sometimes stutter when my brain is just like trying to catch up with the words coming out of my mouth. It took me a long time to understand that that's what it was, by the way. I went through pretty much like all of my life until I was finally diagnosed with ADD in late college. I went through most of my life thinking, oh, I'm just so anxious in social situations. I'm just so incredibly awkward. I'm just so nervous. Like, how can I stop being nervous? But then I realized, sure, maybe I'm nervous, but it's also like, it has a lot to do with my ADD as well. So in that aspect, I do think that a lot of people's experience with this type of thing can be very different, because there can be people without ADD, obviously, that are socially anxious, and they're probably going to have a different experience than me. They might even have something else, some other mental thing that I don't have, so, you know. But just because I'll just like tell you some things that I like to do in social situations, or maybe I'll even go into a few of like the mindsets that I try to have to be less awkward. I wrote down a few things here. This is one that I've talked about before. I think it was in an advice video. Something that I like to do is when I'm talking, for some reason, it helps me be less awkward if I have something in my hand, for example, a water bottle. Funny enough, right now I have this Gatorade with me. That wasn't on purpose, by the way. I just like started talking about this and remembered I had this like right here. Anyways, this might not help everyone, but if you're kind of fidgety and if you feel like, I feel weird when I'm like empty-handed, like I just don't know like what to do. I just feel like more awkward when I'm just like walking without carrying anything, so I like to carry a water bottle around and drink from it every now and then. Obviously, I mean, it's good to stay hydrated anyway, so like why not do that? But at the same time, you can't really bring a water bottle to like a party. I mean, I guess you could. It depends what kind of party, I guess. I mean, you could, like, why not? But like that could be a weird thing to do if you're like trying to go to some like big house party and just like showing up with a water bottle. So I guess the only like socially acceptable replacement for that when you're in like a party situation would be your phone. I haven't been to a party in a long time, honestly. I'm 24 years old. Not that that's too old to party, but I just like haven't since like college. But yeah, so of course, like, you can always go on your phone, you can always like pretend to text or like pretend to check your phone. People can mistake that as being sort of like disinterested or like maybe even bitchy, you know, like the people that are just like always on their phone, like ignoring people. But at the end of the day, like, if it's gonna make you feel less anxious, then like whatever, let them think you're bitchy or whatever, like who cares. That would be number one for me, is have something in my hand while I'm talking or while I'm listening or while I'm just, you know, whatever. I don't know why that helped me. For those of you who have better control of your limbs and can like maybe fidget less, maybe that's something you wouldn't really need, but I like to have a distraction item in my hand, so that like when there's a pause in conversation or whatever, I can sip my water, I can check my phone, I can like do whatever it is that I need to do. Tip number 2, if you can, ask other people questions. If you're feeling nervous, if you feel like there's too much attention on you, ask people questions and they'll answer, and then the attention will be on them. So like when I was in college, it was a common thing to ask like, what year are you? Or where are you from? Those were like the 2 common questions people would ask me. It was really common and normal to like ask that to someone when you're meeting them for the first time. So it wasn't like too difficult for me to come up with questions when I was like meeting people on campus or whatever. But if you're not in college, I don't know, find a question to ask, like, where did you get your shirt? I like that shirt. Or like, I don't know, I feel like it's always helpful to ask something, to just like make conversation and take the attention off yourself for a second if you're feeling anxious because you feel like there's attention on you, you know what I mean? This next one is more something to keep in mind. It's kind of easier said than done, but try to remember that no one cares about you that much. What I mean by that is like, whether you're diagnosed with social anxiety or you're just like kind of nervous around people, you feel like it's all about you. Like you feel like everyone in this room thinks I'm weird, like, oh my god, everyone's thinking about me, everyone's judging me. If I speak, they're gonna judge me, like me, right? But you kind of have to remember that like not everything's about you, not everyone's thinking about you. If there's other people in the room, they're thinking about each other as well. Let's say you're in a conversation with someone and you say something kind of awkward and there's a silence, and then that person goes on and starts talking to someone else in the room. You're panicking, you're thinking, oh my god, I said something so awkward, that person thinks I'm weird, that person thinks this about me, but honestly, they may have already like moved on in their mind. They're talking to someone else now, like you know what I mean? Like they're not just thinking about you. Even if they did think about you and even if they thought you were awkward, they might have moved on from it while you're still there like worrying about it, you know what I mean? And you don't know what's going on with them, you don't know, they have their own life, they have their own struggles, like it may feel like all the attention is on you, but oftentimes like it's really not. Everyone's thinking about their own thing. Everyone's mind is wandering to their own place. Sometimes if you feel like you're being too quiet in a group of people, you feel like, oh my god, everybody's thinking, like, who is this quiet person? Why are they so quiet? What are they doing here? But oftentimes that's probably not what they're thinking. Like if they're engaged in conversation with each other, they might not really be thinking about you. So that's just something to keep in mind. Take the pressure off yourself because it really doesn't matter. It's kind of harder to practice things that aren't like physical things that you can actually do in social situations. It's harder to like practice these mindsets, but if you just like try to think about that and keep that in the back of your mind, it could definitely be helpful to you. I have a specific memory. I was at a bar, not in this country, and it was crowded, and I was basically like, I was with some people I knew, but I ended up being pretty left out of a conversation that was going on. Okay, there was like this seating arrangement, and the people that I was there with all sat down, and there wasn't really a place for me to sit, and this left me out of the conversation and awkwardly standing and lurking around. I remember I had not brought my phone with me, and I had already like finished my drink and set it back on the bar or whatever. So I was empty-handed, and that made me feel really awkward. I didn't know how to stand, like I was just like not knowing what to do with myself, and my mind was just like spiraling out of control. When I think about like being socially anxious, that's like one of the first memories that always pops into my mind. It was just like not good, and I just kind of froze. I don't know why I didn't like just go to the bathroom, or like I remember I thought about ordering another drink, but it was just so crowded. I couldn't even like find an open spot on the bar, so I just kind of like stood around. And when I think back, most of those people don't remember me. Like, why didn't I just like, I don't know, because as I said, there was nowhere for me to sit. I could have like awkwardly crouched near someone and like asked them a question or started talking to them. Even if that came off really awkward and weird, like no one would have really remembered that at this point, and like what I was doing was already awkward and weird, which was like standing around, like doing absolutely nothing, lurking. So like, why not do something else and just like at least try to have a conversation? I don't know. I don't really have all the answers. I don't know like what the exact right thing to do is, obviously. Next one, sorry, I'm just holding a pen. Next one is practice. Now, don't force yourself into a situation that you know is going to make you extremely uncomfortable. There's no need to do that, but at the same time, practice little things if you can. You know, like this is so silly to like people who don't care about this kind of thing, but you know, like ordering food or like simple interactions with customer service people can actually like can actually like help you kind of just like get used to talking to people. If you feel like you had a successful conversation with someone, your confidence of like being able to hold a conversation in the future might go up a little bit. So like practice kind of being chatty with the cashier when you're like getting your groceries or whatever. It's kind of hard to do that these days because everyone's wearing a mask, and it's kind of hard to, you know, sometimes hear people through the masks, or to, you know, smile, which is like a huge part of conversation for me personally, because I smile a lot when I'm talking just to like make sure the other person knows that I'm like being kind to them and like not being judgmental and like listening to them. Yeah, so that's kind of a difficult thing right now, but I remember like back before this whole thing started, I can like think back to a few different times that I've had like positive interactions with cashiers, maybe like a fun little conversation or something that like kind of boosted my mood like for the whole day, which is like weird to think about, but that happens sometimes. And I think the more you do that, the more, I mean, you're gonna fail sometimes. Like sometimes I end up having a really awkward interaction with someone and I go home feeling like, well, I'm terrible, I suck. But you get over it, you know what I mean? Like you realize that like people are gonna forget about you, especially strangers. Like they don't care about you. No one cares about you. That's the moral of this video. No, but seriously, if you feel comfortable, like practice little things, saying how are you to customer service people, you know, whatever. Practice is great, but at the same time, do not force it. I can't stress that enough. Like, I worked as a waitress for a little while, just like a couple weeks. Having to talk to so many people every day took a really big toll on me. I definitely like retreated into myself and didn't want to like ever talk to anyone again for like months. Honestly, like I still am feeling the effects of that job. Like I think about it and I just like get anxious. I have a whole video about that on my channel if you want to check that out. But practice, but you know, don't push yourself past your limits. Slowly build your confidence if you can. Again, I'm no expert. I'm still working on this. And like it's okay to be an introvert. You don't have to like become an extrovert by any means. You can be like a quiet person who's also introverted and needs, you know, time alone to refresh, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just like saying, if you want to be less awkward, then you could work on it. I'm kind of trying my best, I guess, although like I haven't really interacted with like a group of strangers in a while, but hopefully this is something I keep working on when, you know, quarantine, well, I'm still like quarantining myself. I know quarantine is over for some people, like they're going out, but I don't think that's a good idea, honestly. When it's over and I feel safe to go out, I will hopefully keep working on this stuff. And honestly, like, I heard another girl mention this in her video when I was like researching this stuff, but another thing is like, honestly, making YouTube videos has like helped me a lot with this. The first few times you record yourself and have to edit yourself and like watch yourself and hear yourself talk and stuff for like a really long time as you're editing, the first couple times was incredibly cringy. Editing made me want to die, but you kind of get used to yourself. I know like my speech patterns a little bit better now, I feel, and because of that, I'm able to work on them. So for example, I know that I say a lot, and to make editing my videos easier on myself, I know to like fight against saying that word, so that I won't have to edit out like a million ums when I'm editing my videos. So that's something I can use even when I'm not talking to the camera, you know what I mean? So that's definitely a form of practice. I guess that's pretty much it. Those would be my tips for attempting to be a little bit less awkward. I'm sweating right now. I hope they were somewhat useful. Again, I'm so not the expert, but I am working on these things, and I thought I would share what I've learned so far as someone who is socially anxious. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know your experience with this type of thing if you want to. And I haven't done a song recommendation of the day in a really long time. Literally no one has noticed. I've gotten exactly 0 comments telling me, hey, what happened to song recommendation of the day? But I'm gonna bring it back even though no one cares because I feel like it. So song recommendation of the day is going to be Smoko by The Chats. I'll link that below. Okay, hope everyone's having a good day. I'll see you next time. Stay safe. Bye.